I just had this brain wave. It's just like, we have to do this. This is the time. So that afternoon I phoned Via Rail and I said, what do we have to do to get a bunch of people on the train to go to Ottawa? It was in April, we were in Banfield and we were having discussions with some folks there who had been writing letters to MPs about the Gaza situation, calling for ceasefire. And our MP, Gord Johns, was actually one of the first of the 35 MPs that wrote that letter in November calling on the government to call for a ceasefire.
Conflicts around the world, we know, are causing death and trauma on an unprecedented scale, and we need to get off this track clearly. The numerous wars around the world are not only impacting those living and escaping conflict zones, they add to the turmoil arising from other global challenges like climate change and inflation that has left many people feeling anxious and hopeless for the future. So the message you've brought across the country into Ottawa is one of hope for a better path forward through diplomacy and peacekeeping efforts. We can create a more stable and secure world.
Most of the things we've ever done in terms of activism is the future is open. It's not assured that we're going to be successful, but we do it out of conscience.
We had a peace movement. We had a peace movement that ended the war in Vietnam. We had a peace movement that got a nuclear weapons treaty. We had a peace movement talk about horrific succession and lack of succession planning. We made progress to end the threat of nuclear war under Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev. And now, God help us, we have Putin and Donald Trump. And they've been reversing progress on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. And that doomsday clock that ticks towards midnight is ticking faster from climate change and from the threat of nuclear war. And Canada, to our shame, will not even send observers to the United Nations meetings because it's now entered into force. It's considered a legally binding treaty for the prohibition of nuclear weapons. Canada won't even send observers. Some of us have gone as individual MPs as observers, but our government, even with NATO allies, is sending observers. We haven't. So we have to put back in front of us that there's a threat of nuclear war. There are parliamentarians for nuclear disarmament working here on Parliament Hill from all parties. We have to step up our game. We have to say it more and more often. We have to talk about peacekeepers, as you are doing.
We're so happy to have you here. Thanks for coming out on your jog.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting to offer words, but I'm actually quite emotional because this is such an important essence. That's the word that comes for me, is essence for us, all of us, to be invited into, to be rooted in peace. No matter our circumstances, you know, here in Jasper, we've had such tragic events, and people are hurting, and people are healing, and people are moving forward. And it's with the way that we can greet one another in peace and love and hope. And so peace is the essence for all of us. And it is so necessary at this time. In this time of our history, in this time of each of our lives. And so when I saw the invitation that just landed in my email, I just thought, I shared it with folks to say, come. I posted it on the Facebook page so they know. They know if they're not here, I know that in their hearts they're thinking about peace. And it just seemed quite serendipitous. And as I shared to someone, my morning got busy, and I am a jogger, and maybe that's where I also connect with that sense of peace that grounds me. And so I thought, I'm going to combine my jog with coming here and joining each of you. I'm really interested to hear about your initiative and to understand more about what you are inviting us all into. So thank you.
Canadian peacekeeping veterans have witnessed firsthand the good that can be achieved in well-managed and well-led peacekeeping missions. So we advocate for Canada to be more a part of it, not less. Not long ago, our nation used to be the world leader in peacekeeping issues. For example, the Pearson Peacekeeping Center was the first of its kind in the world, and eventually initiated the formation of the International Association of Peacekeeping Training Centers, which now boasts over 100 members worldwide. However, withdrawal of government funding and support led to the demise of the Pearson Center, including the end of research, education, and development of leadership so necessary to provide the level of leadership needed by the international community. Through written and verbal submissions to the Parliamentary Committee on National Defence, my group, CPVA, has advocated for the re-establishment of the former Pearson Peacekeeping Center. Our goal is to help position Canadians, as well as international students, to be leaders in the successful conduct of multinational peacekeeping operations, thereby contributing significantly to global peace and security. Peace Train Canada fully supports our proposal and is here in Ottawa petitioning Parliament to that effect. For that grassroots movement and support, we thank you all and wish you all the best.
The rules-based order is tested, it's taunted, and in so many ways now contemptuously disregarded as the world faces a mounting number of staggering human rights and humanitarian crises. Israel, Gaza, Lebanon, Russia, Ukraine, Sudan, Haiti, so many corners of our world, all against the deeply troubling and growing concern, higher than it's been in a long time, about the possible use of nuclear weapons in our world.
It's a particularly bold initiative to come at a time like this because there's so much conflict in the world. And you might say that it's depressing, discouraging, which it is, but it's not hopeless.
The power of volunteerism. People doing this on their own time, not for financial reward, but because they know that it's the right thing to do, because they know that they're part of something bigger, and we are part of something bigger called humanity.
So in exploring this question, I want to touch briefly on 5 foundational human rights imperatives that I think give us a chance to think about this in a number of different ways. And that's the universality of human rights, the equality of all human rights, no exceptions to human rights protection, implementing and enforcing human rights, and then lastly, putting human rights first.
In the face of ever-increasing violent wars, nuclear threat, climate disruption, and humanitarian crises, we come here to bear witness to peace as a fundamental condition for survival and optimum functioning in our world. It is the domain of physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Building a culture of peace is a matter of national interest. War is disease. To quote Doug Roche, war causes starvation, deepens poverty, ruins environments, forces migrations of peoples, wrecks the rule of law, multiplies the gap between rich and poor, and causes prolonged misery for the most vulnerable.
We need to find a new way to stop this resurgent militarism. We need in Canada a new diplomatic initiative for peace. That is what our country needs. And you know, there's a lot of talk about getting Canada up to 2% of GDP for military spending. And Canada's taking a big hit because there's a myth that's going around that we're not carrying our weight. And actually we are. We're the 7th largest spender in NATO. NATO is 32 countries and we're the 7th largest, so we're already spending enough. But now with the election of Donald Trump as president of the United States, we're soon going to find ourselves a demand that will make us to go to 3%. Now that is absolutely outrageous that the government would try to find that kind of money, and what it will cost in money diverted that should be going to economic and social development in our own country, for housing, for education, for health. That is where we want the Canadian dollars to go, not to more militarism.
We are concerned that Canada is no longer recognized as a peacemaker, that it rejected the UN Declaration of the Right to Peace, that it refused to attend UN negotiations on the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, and that it still refuses to sign the TPNW.
What do we want? Peace! No bombs from the air? No troops on the ground? Nuclear weapons have got to go. Nuclear weapons have got to go. No more hypocrisy. No more hypocrisy. No more victims. No more victims. No more Hiroshima. No more Hiroshima. No more Nagasaki.
Mr. President, delegates, and guests, it's a privilege to speak on behalf of Peace Train Canada. In the face of ever-increasing violent wars, nuclear threat, climate disruption, and humanitarian crisis, Peace Train Canada raises the voice of Canadians across the country committed to the basics of stability, security, and human rights, both here and abroad. We bear witness to peace as a fundamental condition for survival and optimal functioning in our world. It is the domain of physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. The motto of Peace Train Canada is train is a verb. If you want peace, train for peace. We cherish the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a common ethical framework to guide our global village. Peace Train Canada represents the majority of Canadians polled who embrace the prohibition of nuclear weapons and want Canada to ratify the TPNW. One of the reasons we are here is because our government is not. We know that peace is not pretty. It's shaped from the raw materials of disagreement, discord, and disaster. It grows out of the compost of our mistakes, humbly allowing that we all make them, courageously agreeing that we can all learn from them. And it's never perfect, but it's an intelligent perspective gained by constant surveillance, not to search and destroy difference, but to seek and discover a middle way forward, a shared path on the common ground we all stand on. That is our power.
I do believe that we shall live and talk someday. Any more? What else are we going to do? We live in justice. We live in justice.
Yeah, we're trying to get Canada back into thinking about more peace.
Thank you. Yeah, we need it. I know.
Yes.